Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weekends with Amit. Today, we are going to discuss something profound. And this is something which probably is needed by most people or need to be understood by most people, at least not even once, quite a few times during their lifetimes. And this is finding meaning in adversity. We cannot go through life without some kind of adversity. But is it all bad? Is there something that we can learn? What is the meaning that we make out of it? To answer these questions and more, today we have on the show Professor Amit Goswami and Dr. Valentina Onisor. A very, very warm welcome on the show. We hope that the audience will be as thrilled as I am once this program is finished. And today's subject is finding meaning in adversity. And I'm inviting Professor Goswami to comment on this first.
Thank you, Krishanu. Hello, everyone. Well, this is a great subject. We find people who go through life happy-go-lucky and never bother about anything, quite happy with their base level condition of miscenteredness, information processing, negative emotions, and pleasure, and all that. And then there are people who discover meaning and purpose. They hear the questions of meaning. Although everybody today joins the information highway, you can hardly avoid it unless your parents are absolutely adamant against it in your childhood. But most parents are busy and they would rather have their children busy with, cell phones and social media. That's how it That's the initiation of every child practically. So, in that, how does the initiation to this seeking higher meaning, higher purpose, higher needs, as Abraham Maslow called it, how does that happen? It's an amazing thing, right? So, one theory, and this is the one that quantum science supports, is that there is a phenomenon that Carl Jung discovered called synchronicity. Most people, when adversities happen to them, they see it as a danger. And, we have this flight fight circuit built into our brain, usually in the presence of danger. If you are centered, as soon as you see any danger to the me, we'll run. We'll just run away from the adversity. But then it is also a great opportunity to ask the question, why is this adversity arising right now? Is there meaning in it? And that question differentiates the hero among us who will investigate higher needs, who will explore higher needs, who will eventually embody higher needs, and the happy-go-lucky innocent. The tarot card has a very graphic name for the innocent. Tarot cards display this as a fool. And, the fellow looks like a fool. Uh, that's not a derogatory fool. It's not an idiot. But the foolishness concerns in not asking this question. Is there a meaning in my life? Is there meaning in the universe? This is the kind of question that changes your life, that gives a different take to your life. And it is really this fundamental thing, this events of synchronicity, seeing meaning in adversity, that sets off the hero's journey. You can call it suffering-based investigation of archetypes. Suffering-based, because, adversity is being suffering to us. And I talked about run away. Most adversities we cannot even run away, like physical adversities. You are sick. You have breast cancer. You can you run away? Still have to suffer. So what do? We ask for the meaning of it. And when we ask for the meaning, we find the meaning. For example, in the case of breast cancer, the meaning is now well known thanks to quantum science, and it is the suppression of love. When love goes away from one's life, when immune system defensiveness becomes the preoccupation of the heart chakra feelings, then we get immune system disorder. The immune system is overused. It does not get any rest. The meaning question will automatically lead the person into knowing more about what is the cause of my cancer. And once I know, then my priority should be getting my love life in order. Why am I mourning? What is gone, right? But that simple meaning we sometimes don't see and wallow in the past. Can we give up the past, seeing meaning of the synchronicity event, and move on to the future, which is creative exploration of an archetype, love? That is the kind of thing that we are talking about. But this is just a preamble. As usual, our detail expert is Dr. Valentina Onisor, to whom I now transfer. Valentina, please.
Thank you. Well, I think most of the audience, if they were attentive in our lives, have been this kind of moments that can last less or long, and sometimes even for years. You may pass through this kind of periods. They are called in different ways in various traditions. Like kind of, again, in the beginning, you wake up with that problem or blockage, and again you have to go over and do whatever you can the best until the evening, and then the next day again it's the same thing, so obviously sometimes it's also a karmic blockage that is there for a reason or another, but anyway the basic reason is for our growth, and the thing is that learning to welcome what's happening in our life, despite the ego's like or dislike, welcoming everything will definitely alleviate the suffering and eventually even burn that negative karma. And again, we always receive a lesson that we can handle, even if it seems that we cannot at some point. This is like a law in all the tradition. Even in Christianity, I was born in this tradition, there's a saying that God never gives you as a burden more than you can carry. So we are meant to grow. And when we hide in a non-learning, non-growing life, we do the same mistakes over and over, really. And even the same situations in relationships, the people just keep, they live and in the same way. Obviously, there's a huge lesson there because we are stuck into a non-growing style. So these lessons that may involve letting go, they are never punishments. That's the first thing to understand in these situations. So, and they are just meant to really help us grow and move further, So they also, when these kind of situations happen and in the synchronistic way, and they keep repeating, of course, they require all our attention. And they cannot be ignored. And now if we didn't even develop enough attention, of course we can destroy ourselves over and over. No, but still the universe is intelligent. That's why we have many lives to eventually learn to grow. But again, you may kick and scream when somebody's trying to, somebody's trying to wake you up from a deep sleep, for example. You don't understand why is that happening. Of course, usually we are trapped into these kind of patterns, and we don't even see many times, But that's why this wonderful message of the synchronicities and of such messages of transformation. And there is, for example, there's a study which is done by Alfred Adler, psychologist. He discovered that often some perceived disadvantages, if now I'm talking even inborn disadvantages, but also all kind of problems that we may have, they prove to be disguised advantages, because they force us to discover abilities that we would have stayed dormant forever. And when only as we compensate for these advantages, our greatest gifts are revealed. And I tell you also from experience something like that, but still there is this guy, he had you can find online, he did a lot of study with a large number of people, and he discovered, for example, that 70% of the students who were, for example, studying visual art, like sculpture, for example, they had eye anomalies. Yeah. Also, great composers like Mozart, Beethoven, they had degenerative disease on the ears. Yeah. And there are, he also found many other examples. So just to see that actually you will see, interesting enough, a lot of vocations of those who discovered but discover this through necessities, through what was perceived initially as a disadvantage. And so this guy concluded that perceived disadvantages, such as, for example, birth defects or physical ailments or even poverty, and there can be still springboards towards success and towards really embodying something higher. Imagine the work of art that Mozart and Beethoven were able to do, and how they impact us nowadays still, So the success is not achieved in spite of the advantages they had, in spite of the disadvantages they had, but because of that. It's very interesting to see that. So the idea is that what we face is mainly internal adversity, if you are honest with yourselves, all kinds of fears and problems. So what happens in the outer world also mirrors actually what happens in the inner world. So when we start finding meaning in adversity and welcoming whatever is happening in a very attentive way and present way, what we do is that we are stepping in a world where we are co-creating, And then again, you ask yourself, why is this happening to me? And finding meaning in adversity is also a key to pass through the most difficult stage on an archetypal journey. We spoke in the last meetings about the hero's journey. And it's, again, when we do that, so finding meaning in adversity will lead us from the ego-based belief that life is happening to us, and maybe we are a victim, to a new superior one. Life is happening for us. Of course, it takes a lot of courage to face obstacles and shadows, smaller and bigger ones. But again, we will learn a lot. For example, suffering can make us compassionate and gives us a chance to care. For example, of course, not if you keep destroying yourself and staying so much in a state of suffering without knowing what to do, really, because it's still okay. Now I'll tell you, there are two practices, and we do these practices in our university. So one of them is from the Shivite tradition. It's a wisdom tradition, and it's called the Shambhava Mudra. And it involves a very active way to surrender to God, So it implies to abandon ourselves entirely and unconditionally to God, but it should come out of pure aspirations, not out of a personal desire, And it's kind of, you are offering not just one thing, you offer what is happening here and now. So whatever is experienced in that moment, no matter what pain is there or what contradiction at various levels, is not what you plan to do tomorrow, exactly the content of our consciousness. So imagine like there's a reservoir with a lot of things, thoughts coming and going constantly, all these perceptions, all the bodily sensations. So remember that what is the content of our consciousness, and the various energies that are manifested, the reflection of on our koshas, the layers of our being, the 5 layers. from the most gross, primitive to the most refined. So you have to, of course, you have to have certain practices and awareness about all these bodies, because there are different perceptions from all the levels that we are made of, So depending on the structure of the koshas, you have all the signals like bodily sensations due to the position of the body, pleasant or not, seeing, hearing also, or you may have emotions from Manomaya kosha, or spiritual intuitions or feelings, Vijnanamaya kosha, and so on. So there are all kinds of layers. So the idea is that you offer all that is happening in a certain moment, not sequential, let's see, now you analyze what is there. So you have to eventually learn to offer global, in an instant, what is right here and now, not letting the mind find out what is in our awareness. So it's actually a practice from the supramental level of our awareness. So this is one practice which is wonderful in dealing with something really serious that you see that you have to put your attention to. And then also from the Mahavidya tradition, there is a cosmic power, but this again, it's an advanced knowledge. It's called Dhumavati. And I have practiced, I've worked with her a lot. And she is the seventh great cosmic power. And she is also represented in a way that is not very attractive, but is referring to that way of really transcending happiness in the ultimate way, if you want. So even until there, you prepare, but then when you learn how to work with Dhumavati, if that's where you are, if, for example, it's out of sufferance in your life right now, you discover wisdom when you learn how to work with her. And there are ways, there's mantra, there is yantra, but there are also certain attitudes. For example, when you learn how to meditate profoundly on the void, but again, it refers to learn to transcend. So that's after again, we learn to become more and more aware of where we are right now. Right. So that's just the beginning of this talk, which I would talk about this day and night for 1 year. Amit?
Well, shall I add the last word?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, so I will just add one more thing, which is the quantum science gives us one new dimension to this question, how to see meaning in adversity. Of course, people naturally see them as events of synchronicity come to them. That's one thing, but you can say, but I don't see them, but I would like to. Adversity always arises. That's a common thing for all humanity. So when such a thing arises, can we do something in order that we can see meaning? Quantum science says yes. Make the adversity as the source of motivation. Let the adversity be the motivation for you. Motivation towards investigation, exploration. And the first thing you do is to intend to see meaning in this event of adversity, sickness or whatever it is, some kind of suffering, a personal tragedy, whatever it is. Take that as inspiration to do something, motivation, and the first thing you do is to intend to see meaning in this event. And we have several stages of intention setting. First, you intend for yourself, and then you generalize intent for everybody else. It is important because intention has to be from an expanded state of consciousness. To expand, what better than to dedicate the fruits of your exploration to everyone. And then the third step is crucial. This is where what Valentina was saying becomes very important, the spiritual component. Very, very importantly, we see synchronicity only when we are ready for it. we have to show our preparedness. How do we show our preparedness? Part of the preparedness is the idea that whatever happens as a result of this intention setting, inspiration, the question, how do I see meaning, whatever happens should be in synchrony with the movement of consciousness which is going in my life anyway. A sort of a reliance on the movement of consciousness, a kind of a faith in the movement of consciousness. I will go along if the movement of consciousness is there. If not, I'll continue in the way of making the intention and aligning it or making it part of my intention that I intend and hope someday movement of consciousness will be in synchrony with my intention. That sort of hastens the process, and we start hearing the voices of that oneness we call intuition. Intuition is how archetypes speak to us. Intuition gives us direction. Okay, so what do you do? Exactly speaking intention, when it comes to fruition, gives us an intuition which is the meaning, which will convey you the meaning of that adversity, the nature of your exploration. I hope this helps. And I hope that you will use the process. If you have more questions about it, please read any of our books. We have talked about intention, and in the future we can talk about intention. This is one of our favorite subjects. You know, people talk about quantum way of manifesting things. Well, intention setting is the basis of science of manifestation. And this is a manifestation, manifest meaning out of a situation of adversity. But manifestation also can be much more wide, and the exploration of which can be very, very important. All part of this process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Goswami, and thank you so much, Dr. Onisor. It was really, I should not say it was a pleasure listening to it. It is more than that. These are, say, bits of wisdom which are enough to raise the curiosity for many people, and people would like to go deep and understand what is there. Now, if you have any queries, as Professor Goswami just mentioned, not only you can read whatever books that are on offer, you can also reach us at info@amitgoswami.org. We have a website, www.amitgoswami.org. Please visit there and see what we are all up to. There are several things that are going on. If you look at the kind of program that will suit you, whether it's a proximity, which I will talk a little bit about in a minute, or whether these are short certification programs or full masters and PhD programs which deal about these kinds of subjects in a much, much deeper way. Everything is available. Now, I was mentioning proximity. We are going to have a 10 days program in Jaipur, India, which will be on archetypes, which Professor Goswami was just mentioning. Archetypes talk to us through intuitions. And this whole 10 days will be on archetypes in Jaipur, India. If you are interested, please visit our website or reach out to us. This is going to be one of a kind of experience for everyone that will be joining that program. We are looking forward to your responses. Thank you so much for being with us, and we hope to meet you again next week. Thank you for being here.